Hey, Todd here with you again today. I wanted to talk a little bit about the difference between revocable trusts and irrevocable trusts. Just some real common misconceptions when people come here to the office to see us is that they assume that a trust is a trust is a trust. And really, at the end of the day, even though I can give you 1,000 acronyms, an alphabet soup, if you will, of different varieties of trusts with different purposes and different intentions, at the end of the day, trusts really come down to two basic types, revocable or irrevocable. What is a revocable trust? That's a trust that you establish this trust, this carrying case for your assets, and while you're alive and able, you are able to amend that trust, you're able to revoke that trust, you have complete control over the assets that are in that trust. In every way, shape, or form, it is you, except that when you become incapacitated or when you pass away, then that trust will allow for an ease of administration to fulfill your wishes upon those events of incapacity or death. But as long as you're alive and able, you still have complete and total control over that trust. Irrevocable trusts, on the other hand, are just like the word probably says. They are not revocable, at least not easily revocable. They're not amendable, at least not easily amendable. A lot of times you cannot be in any way, shape, or form in control or a beneficiary of those assets, depending on the type of trust we're establishing. So irrevocable, you're really setting something in stone at the time you do it, and it's very, very difficult to change that. What are some of the reasons we do one versus the other? Well, the big one, the big three over here for irrevocable are asset protection, long-term care planning, and some types of tax planning. With the tax planning, we're looking at trying to get assets out of your estate for estate tax purposes while you're alive, so they are not counted against you at death, or at least the value of those assets at the time of the transfer is all that's counted against you, and any future appreciation no longer is included in your estate for estate tax purposes. So we're trying to minimize the amount of estate tax that you would be paying. Long-term care planning, similar. We're trying to get assets out of your estate. These are known as Medicaid asset protection trusts. We're trying to get assets out of your estate for the purposes of diminishing your net worth, so that if in the event you end up in need of a nursing home, you can qualify for Medicaid potentially. And that it's done in a way that, if you just give your assets to your kids, for example, they could lose those assets, or they could be subject to their debts and liabilities. If it's in a Medicaid asset protection trust, they've got some protection. So we can talk more, or we will talk more about Medicaid asset protection trusts in a later video. But a very common misconception that people have is if they set up a revocable living trust, then the assets don't count against them for becoming eligible for Medicaid. Not true. You have to have the right kind of trust if you want that to be the case. Asset protection, same thing. Real common misconception that I get when people set up a revocable living trust is that now if they're sued, everything is protected. Just simply not true. It's going to be a type of asset protection trust, and other videos we'll discuss different types of asset protection trusts in greater detail, but it has to be an irrevocable trust. It can't be something that's under your control and guidance. If you have too much control over it, the courts are going to let your creditors get at it. And so have to be really careful with asset protection. These can be challenging trusts to administer. They're not going to be in the background. They're going to be front and center in your life. You're going to have to live with whatever terms you put in, and like I say, they can be extremely challenging to change at any point down the road. But to accomplish the things that we're trying to accomplish with them, this is the thing that we need, and so they become really important tool in our toolbox in accomplishing your goals and objectives. Revocable living trusts, on the other hand, why would we do these? Why even bother if they don't cover this? Well, because number one, they provide estate planning benefits, right? They help us to transition assets from you as a living person with capacity to another individual if you don't have capacity, or to your beneficiaries upon your death to manage while you're not capable of doing so, with the least amount of interference possible. Two, we can do some tax planning. We can make sure that we have maximum flexibility to use all of your exemption and your spouse's exemption if you're married, so that we don't lose any of the benefits, and we have the best options available in choosing. Do we use this estate tax exemption upon the first spouse's death, or do we wait and use both of them on the second spouse's death? So a revocable living trust can allow us to do that as well. We can use it as a way to protect assets in the event of a remarriage. So if spouse number one passes away and spouse number two remarries, we can use that revocable living trust at that point to then become, in part, a irrevocable trust, so that it protects the assets from a future spouse if that subsequent marriage goes south, or in the event that they try to make a claim against the estate for some reason. So revocable trusts, generally really good base planning for most people. They're more than sufficient. If you want to get into some of these more sophisticated types of planning issues, then you have to start looking to irrevocable trust. So understand, as you come and talk to your attorney, there's a real difference between revocable trust and irrevocable trust. Understand your goals, and then your attorney can help you best meet those goals with the right type of trust or planning document. So really important that you're clear on your wishes and understand the investment as well, right? This is going to be on the lower end of the investment cost. These are going to be on the higher end. These can get incredibly sophisticated and complex, and I always tell my clients, if I start using words like sophisticated and complex, you can just use the synonym for those words as expensive, right? So just understand there's a higher level of investment monetarily as you're getting into this kind of planning versus this kind of planning. And know, again, what's your goal, what are you trying to accomplish, and what's going to be the best vehicle to get you there. I hope you found this helpful today. Check out our other videos on this channel. We'd love to have you like them, subscribe to our channel, let us know what you think. Thanks a lot. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We'd love to meet with you about your individual needs.